It appears Fox News, or as some prefer to label it, state regime media, is currently experiencing some turbulence. Some video snippets are circulating that are quite revealing.
So the president is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
One key instance involved Pete Hegseth, who, just the day following a controversial action concerning a fishing vessel, openly disclosed he observed the entire event live and was in command of the whole undertaking.
I'm so glad you brought up spiritual, because my points are sort of disparate, but they're connected under the umbrella that I see, we are under spiritual warfare. And I see, to your point about just following the Portland block with then seeing the First Lady of the United States supporting our troops, saying Merry Christmas, and being constantly a prism of love and light, which is what Jesus Christ is, which is what Judeo-Christianity is, right, which is what this country is. And now we have a First Lady that fearlessly and undeniably stands for those values. She is beautiful inside and out, and everything she does and touches reflects.
This particular admission raises significant questions. While Hegseth and Trump are now trying to create distance between themselves and the naval and military commanders involved, their prior statements are on record. To shift the focus away from this situation, Fox then rapidly switched subjects to discuss Melania Trump saving Christmas. I can assure you this is a genuine report. They seemed very enthusiastic about her offering Merry Christmas greetings once more. Ironically, there is also a separate recording where Melania reportedly admitted that she effing hates Christmas and everything associated with it, which only heightens the irony of the coverage.
They say I'm complicit. I'm the same like him. I support him. I don't say enough. I don't do enough.
No.
Where I am, I'm working like my ass off.
I know.
Christmas stuff that, who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration, but I need to do it, right?
Yeah, but
correct?
100%. You have no choice.
And then I do it, and I say that I'm working on Christmas, planning for the Christmas, and they said, oh, what about the children, that they were separated? Give me a break. Where they were saying anything when Obama did that?
I know.
I cannot go. I was trying to get the kid reunited with the mom.
The spouse of the transportation secretary then made an appearance, asserting broadly that concepts like secularism and feminism are all elements of a larger communist takeover. This serves as a considerable diversionary tactic, as they strongly desire to alter the ongoing public discourse.
Christmas, and I think it's really up to us to reclaim our culture. We can sit and complain about it, but when we give in to those atheist groups that keep suing, we should come right back. This is our culture. I'm not going to let pro-Palestinian or whatever they're putting forward. These are all fronts for, whenever you see any of these groups, just think feminism, secularism, just think communism. This is what they're really about. It's always been about communism, making the state the center, removing the power of religion and family from our culture. And it's up to us to make sure that our culture remains what it is, which is a Western Christian culture with the beautiful history that we have in this country, and that we have to defend these things.
In a related segment, John Rose, a Congress member representing the MAGA Republican group, made a statement claiming the economy is genuinely flourishing. He expressed firm confidence that economic conditions will become even better in the approaching year.
The cost of living are coming down. This Thanksgiving was less expensive than last Thanksgiving. So we just have to have the patience to see these policies through to fruition. We're starting to see that happen. When we get to January 1st and we see many of the one big beautiful law tax cuts start to come into play in a more real way for Americans, I think they're going to start to see the real hit in their pocketbook. And we see wages up in a dramatic way for the first time in a generation and since the last time when Trump was in office. So I think the answers are on the way.
Separately, at the Fox premises, several reporters were present at a press conference trying to determine the correct way to handle a developing issue. It was quite a spectacle. One host pressured a speaker about a recent armed action, demanding, "You assert the admiral authorizing the actions on the survivors is lawful."
Jackie. Thank you, Caroline. Following up on Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors? The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
Which statute are you citing? The channel then featured a reporter who posed a pertinent question, noting that Republicans have consistently supported military interventions against narco-terrorists.
Conflict. And then on this pardon for the Honduran president, does it at all undercut the administration's messaging while you have these congressional Republicans defending the strikes on the narco-terrorists and then a pardon for a convicted drug trafficker? Does that make it more difficult for your members to defend your administration's policy? I don't think so, Jackie. I think that President Trump has been quite clear in his defense of the United States homeland to stop these illegal narcotics from coming to our borders, whether that's by land or by sea. And he's also made it quite clear that he wants to correct the wrongs of the weaponized Justice Department under the previous administration. And Ouija, I'll call on you because I think we're wearing matching blazers.
Yet, in a major contradiction, they went ahead and pardoned a convicted drug trafficker, specifically Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was a principal figure in a massive narco-terror organization. I observed a segment featuring Senator Schmidt on Fox, where he delivered some rather strong opinions. He addressed the rhetoric coming from Democratic Congress members who are suggesting people should disregard unlawful orders.
One of the crazy things that happened over the weekend, the Democrats, elected Democrats, not some online troll, elected Democrats have been saying it's okay to disobey orders. That's the first step. But what we saw happen this weekend through some of those same elected officials was to say basically to military men and women, look out, you might get prosecuted. This is not the language of we'll beat them in the next election or we'll win the argument. This is the language of a color revolution where you're calling on military men and women to disobey orders, and you put that on top of the firebombing of Tesla dealerships, the riots you see in the streets, the prosecution of a political opponent. The Democrats have completely lost the plot here, and the American people, I think, see that. But
Schmidt is convinced this is more than mere political sparring. He compared it to a color revolution, alleging that the Democrats are initiating a resistance against the opposition. Schmidt proceeded to discuss his view of the Democrats' actions as a form of suicidal empathy.
First of all, talk to me about the Democrat pushback on this asylum pause, this potential pause.
Yeah, I mean, this is what suicidal empathy really looks like. This is not an abstraction. This is a case now, two cases, where this open borders policy, no vetting under the auspices of humanitarian parole, which is what Joe Biden did to let tens of thousands of Afghanis in here, without any vetting.
He then pivoted, asking for analysis on the Democratic pushback concerning the proposed asylum pause. Earlier in the day, Fox News, which positions itself as a credible information source, aired a conversation with a MAGA Republican named Carlos Jimenez.
Congressman, there are now growing calls for an oversight hearing and investigation. Your thoughts on this?
Look, it just seems all strange to me that you get the Democrats coming out with a video saying, do not follow illegal orders, and then all of a sudden you get this. Apparently, these are anonymous kind of whistleblowers that's saying that something happened here. So, I smell a rat here. I'm pretty sure that the Secretary of Defense had nothing to do with something like that, and it's just a way of distracting from what really happened in D.C. Last week, where you had the murder of one National Guardsman, and then
he appeared genuinely puzzled, questioning what their specific function was in the overall scenario. He pointed out that Donald Trump and others maintained they had no involvement, so why should Congress be concerned with oversight? However, quite simply, providing that oversight is precisely Congress's responsibility.
Venezuela.
Yeah, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound on this, and we're in for a pound. The buildup is real. Members of Congress have been watching this. I know that there's some that have been briefed fully on where we're at in relation to not just Venezuela, but kind of the back and forth with the naval fleet being as highly concentrated as it is right now out of Caracas. Listen, Maduro is class, one of those individuals that I think President Trump could run circles around when it comes to negotiating. So I'm very hopeful that he's in a position now, that the president's in a position.
Furthermore, Scott Fitzgerald, another MAGA Republican on the channel, suggested that the approach to dealing with Venezuela should be to act first and ask no questions.
And so that's why when the mainstream legacy media and those without a spine in our country say that President Trump's mass deportations have not gone far enough, President Trump says no, they haven't gone far enough, because we must deport every illegal alien who Joe Biden allowed into this country. And not only do these people serve as a national security threat, they are also draining the resources of American taxpayers. Look no further than the great state of Minnesota that has been run into the ground by Democrat leadership, Governor Walz, who is completely incompetent, the Somali migration invasion of Minneapolis.
The goal, he implied, is to restore oil resources for American corporations, specifically addressing the legality of the military operations off the Venezuelan coast by the current administration. Then, Caroline Leavitt offered her thoughts, saying that the mainstream media and others lacking conviction are asserting that Trump's deportations have not been sufficient. This perspective is somewhat bewildering. Naturally, MAGA Republican Congressman Greg Murphy also provided his assessment of Maduro during a media appearance. He stated, "If you look at Venezuela, it was the prized possession of South America just 15 years ago, and now it has collapsed into an utter fiasco. That is the definition of socialism. I hope some of our Democratic colleagues might realize that." He continued, "Look, there is existing precedent for the United States intervening and removing despots. We did so in 1990 with Manuel Noriega in Panama. This individual had a reward on his head during the first Trump administration. The Biden administration increased that reward, and now Trump has once again increased the reward. This man is a detriment to the Western Hemisphere and must be removed." Currently, about 25% of the Navy's vessels are stationed there, making this an eventful period.